Hiya guys, Nigel here, Nigel's Modelling Bench, and just want to have a little chat about this kit really. I did a review on this yesterday. Today is Monday, June the 17th, and it's proved extremely popular. I'm gobsmacked, to be honest. I know that Kitty Hawk don't have a massive following. Some of the earlier kits were very problematic to build, I believe, but they are coming on leaps and bounds. I really want to build their new UH60. Looks like an absolutely gorgeous model, and they've finally gone away from this multi-part fuselage construction. This what two main fuselage halves going together, and then all the detail goes in and on it. So at last we've got a sort of, you know, more of a standard style kit, if you like. So yeah, I was asked to do a review of this Bronco, and I put this up yesterday, and in one day it's had nearly 1,000 views, which I'm stunned by. If it's less than 24 hours. So I thought I'd look at how we're going to actually build this thing, and thought I'd take you through the instructions once again and look at what we're going to do. So we're starting off here with the cockpit and building all the cockpit and putting in the bulkheads and everything. Now I think this cockpit needs the Eduard interior set, because it's so visible. You've got this massive glass canopy, which is, I mean, you can see here, you've got this massive glass canopy, and it's just crying out for, you know, seat belts and instrument panels and detail and extra bits and pieces and everything like that. So basically that's what it needs. Okay, so what we're going to do is build the cockpit. We'll put the Eduard photo etch in it all, build up the undercarriage bay and everything, and add the nose wheel, and then we'll put it all together into the fuselage halves, and then add the upper wing section, and go like that with the pylons, and then adding the clear parts, building up the engines, building up the booms, adding the wings to the booms, and then bringing it all together at the end, like so, like this. Hang on. So, as I said in my review, the build assembly sequence for this kit is awful. This is so badly planned out, it's untrue. So why do I do this? I've been asked a few times, why do I keep looking at build sequences and changing things around? I'm an engineer. I'm a time-served Rolls-Royce aerospace trained engineer. I've made parts for Concorde engines, Harrier engines, Tornado engines, Eurofighter engines. I actually finished machined the first two Eurofighter combustion chambers for the EJ200 engine. So yeah, quite. My mum was also an engineer. She worked as a performance engineer on the Harrier, on the Pegasus engine. And my father, many years ago, he worked on the TSR2, and also did some work on the early Concorde work. So, and then when everything went wrong with TSR2, we all went as a family to America, where he worked for Bell. And then he went on to Lockheed, and he worked on the C5A and the Hercules. So yeah, quite an aerospace background in the family really. So what I do when I look at a model kit, I kind of look at it as a assembly of parts, not as a finished model, and I think about how I can do things differently. Not just to be different, it sometimes does make the build more interesting if you're doing it your own way rather than just following 1, 2, 3, 4, you know. But the reason I do it is to try and improve things. Now, if you look at this kit, the way they're assembling it, they're having you add this wing centre section and then build up all the booms and everything, and then add the wing on and everything. It's just, and then doing this at the end is just a joke, because basically what you're going to do, this boom is fixed to the wing and this boom is fixed to this wing. So what you want to do when you get this down, you want those fins to be dead vertical. You want the booms to be parallel. I'm looking in plan view now, the same as you are. So if you imagine the wing is here and my hands are the booms, you want the booms to be dead vertical, not like this, not like this or like this. You want them to be parallel and straight 90 degrees to the wing. You don't want them like that, you don't want them like that, you don't want them like that. You need to get them level. So in other words, the tip is the top of the fin is the same height on both sides. So if you to do all that and fit the wings on and get a perfect joint there, I think is going to be nigh on impossible. So what I'm doing is looking at this and how I can make this better. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the wing center section, which is here. Okay, I'm not going to glue the lower sections on, I'm just going to leave the center section, the upper part of the center section. Okay, and I'm going to fix that down, we'll put that down on the bench. Then I'm going to take the wing outer sections here. I'm not going to fit anything to them, no lower wings, no pylons, no photo edge on the top, nothing. Okay, just take these wing outer upper sections and I'm going to glue those to the center section of the wing on the bench, dead straight, dead parallel, everything's right. So I've got a perfect seam, or as perfect as I can get it there. Then when the glue's gone off, turn it over, add something inside to give it some rigidity, some plastic rod or a piece of brass rod or something, or even some thick plastic strips over the joint. That'll give it a nice strong joint. Then we can add the lower sections of the wings on. Okay, then we can build up the booms, and we can add the booms to the wing and make sure the booms are like this everywhere we want them, dead square, dead right. Once that's all gone off, we can add the tail plane, and then we can drop the whole lot onto the top of the fuselage, and that way we end up with a wing which is straight and not twisted or anything. It's dead straight. We've got two booms on there which are dead parallel, 90 degrees to the wing and vertical, and then we just drop that on top of the fuselage rather than try and build it all like this. So let's get cutting. Okay, I've got the wings off now, off the sprues. There's a bit of cleanup on these required. They've got sprue attachment points on these rear edges, on these trailing edges, which, let's get that to focus, which are very, very thin. So you need to be very careful when you're cutting them off, and be very careful with sanding. I'm using this hard sander. It comes from supermarkets. It's basically a nail file, and the beauty of this is it sands everything flat and straight. If you go in with a skinny stick like this, you're likely to put a divot in it, although you can use a skinny stick on the back just to remove the sprue tab from that trailing edge. And it's the same on these as well. They've got them in there and in here. On the leading edge of this section there's a couple of sprue tabs, and they're actually on the glue face, which I like it when they do that. It makes life a lot easier, I think, especially if you've got panel detail on the edges there. But there's no sprue tabs on these leading edges at all. So what I'm going to do is put this together and glue it up and then leave it to set. Now the problem is we also need to make sure that these edges here are nice and straight. There are sprue connection points on these ends, so I'm just going to make sure they're nice and straight. And then what will happen is these will go together like so, like so, and we will get a fairly nice joint. Now I haven't checked my references, I'm not sure if there's a panel line there or not. I'm hoping not, and then we can just basically fill that and blend it all in. But we've got some nice rivet detail there and panel lines that line up beautifully. So yeah, all good. Problem is the wings aren't flat, so I can't really put them together like this. So the leading edge is obviously parallel all the way across, the trailing edge is parallel all the way across, but we've got these little lumps and bumps here for the engines, and we've got this lump and bump here which is on the back of the fuselage. So what I'm going to have to do is somehow get a strip and raise this up so that it's actually, you know, held off of the ground. Now I'm just thinking out loud. I've got my 1, 2, 3 blocks here, and unfortunately they're not wide enough. If they were about 5 mil wider, I'd be okay. But basically I want something that will sit on the trailing edge and the leading edge, and they won't. So I could go that way, I guess, and then glue this down like that, which would be okay, but I'd rather have it on a flat surface. So what I need to do is come up with something where I can basically perhaps a couple of long strips that I can put down and rest the wing on top of and glue it and let it all set, and then turn it over and put our stiffeners in the back. So let me see what I can find for that. Right, I've got some aluminium blocks here, aluminium strips if you like, and I've taped them together with some little boxes that your knife blades come in, and that's got that perfectly the right width apart. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly with a sanding stick just go over these and make sure there's no lumps and bumps on them. You want everything parallel. There we go, that's that done. And the first thing I've noticed is when I come to fit these together, if I can show you on camera, it might be quite difficult. If we set them up so that the upper surface of the wing is parallel, you can see that in the trailing edge we've got a step. So if I put it on the bench with the trailing edge parallel here, we end up with a step in the wing. So that's about 0.3. So I've got a piece of 0.3 plastic strip. So what I'm going to do is just basically cut this in half, and I'm going to get some of the extra thin quick setting, and I'll put this on here, and I may leave it on there permanently. I don't know how it's going to affect the fit of the wings going forward. I'm just going to put that on there just to hold it in place for the purpose of this exercise, and then do the same on the other side so that the wing remains parallel. Remember, if you only do one side, the wing won't be parallel. And I know we're only talking 0.3, but believe me, 0.3 in my world is like the Grand Canyon. I'm used to working in microns in engineering, and if you don't know what a micron is, it's 0.001 of a millimeter. So I've got glue on my finger there. So if you're used to working in imperial, 1 thou is 25 microns, and when I was in the diesel injector industry, some of our components had tolerances of half a micron, so it was practically impossible to measure, to be quite honest with you. But so that's there glued on now. I just want to make sure it don't fall off, so put a bit more on there. There's not too much glue on them, so they'll come away quite easily, or as I say, I may need to put them on, leave them on there. In that case I'll have to trim all around the holes and everything. So that will now sit on there like that. Now unfortunately my strips aren't long enough for me to do both sides, so I'm going to have to do one side at a time. So that's going to go on there now, and then we get a lovely smooth joint at the back, and we've got a lovely smooth joint, but we've got a bit of a step in the middle, so we'll probably have to weight this down slightly, or just glue each end and then do the middle afterwards. So my main concern here is getting those panel lines to line up and making sure the wing is flush. So I think what we need to do is get some masking tape and tape the wing to the aluminium block. So we can hold that down like that, nice and solid. I'll just put a piece on the back as well. There we go. So that's held down like that. Now we're going to cut this tape here. So I can bring that together, and I've got some narrow masking tape here which I'm going to use because I don't want the tape anywhere near my glue joint. So I'm going to put that tape on there like that, and then pull the wing over, pull the tape down, and then another piece on the front, like so. Take that down, and then get those panel lines lined up. Now the problem I'm going to have here is it doesn't want to stay in place, it wants to lift away at the back here, you can see. So what I'm going to have to do is also tape it here. There we go. Now we've got a lovely joint, and we need to check we're straight along this back edge. Now I've got those panel lines to line up, because out of all the features on the wing, the hardest bit to recreate will be those panel lines. So I need them to line up perfectly, which means that trailing edge part there will need a bit of a trim. So that's fine, because a flap or whatever it is going to go in there. So I'll get those panel lines to line up perfectly. And there we go. We've got our wing held nice and straight. It's straight across its front edge, its leading edge. It's straight across its trailing edge. It's held down. It's not going anywhere. I do need to put some tape on there to hold that down, I believe. As long as we've got this joint area here good, we can play with the twists in the wing and everything afterwards. Our main concern here is getting this joint good at the front, or the leading edge should I say. I'm just going to put some more pressure on that tape. I really do want to clamp that wing down better than that. Let me just do some work with this tape. Right. Put these blocks a bit further apart now. Turn these little clamps sideways. Little blocks sideways, so that it's held together. So that it's further apart now. Should I say? Sorry. Get my words muddled. So that's in there like that now. Now straight away we can see where we would have had an issue had we built this according to the instructions. This, you can see here, the leading edge is parallel to the edge of this block, and we know this block is straight. If I put this on here now like this and I butt this up cleanly to there, you can see this is coming off this way. If I want it straight, I need to bring the wing back, and I end up with a gap there. So what I can do, I can either remove some material from this, from the back edge here where it meets, so I don't have a gap at the front, or I can add some plastic material into that gap. Now, because I haven't built the rest of the model, I'm not really too sure what I'm going to do, but I have just noticed that that little flange part is longer than the recess it's going into. So that wouldn't have been helping either. So leading edge is parallel there, leading edge parallel there, there's a gap here. So I've now got to decide whether I'm going to sand some material off of this to get it to sit in there parallel, or if I'm just going to leave the gap in there and fill it with plastic card. I'm going to do a bit of both. I'm just going to sand some material from the back of here, and I'm going to leave a gap at the front. So that will do a bit of both then. Alright, so what I need to do now is tape this wing down in this position, with the leading edge parallel to the block, and with those panel lines lined up. Now I need some more tape. I can get my thin piece here that can go in there and hold that down. Like so. What I need is some more pull on the front. To get those panel lines to line up. There we go. So there we are. That is the wing held in position. No, it's not. It's gone out on the front edge again. I think what I'll do is put a piece of tape here and like that, and that'll hold it in place. Remember, you're not going to see the leading edge here because you've got this extra thick engine bearer part there. So there we are, and I've actually managed to pull the wing apart, so I need to basically somehow hold that together. So what I can do is put my tape down like this, get 2 cocktail sticks, one there, one there, and pull the wings together like that, and then we've got the tape holding them together, but we haven't got any tape over the glue joint. And there we are. And that, my friends, is that. We've got everything nice and parallel, nice and even, no steps anywhere. I just want to increase the tension on that one. There we are. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to get a drop of quick setting, just put it in the back, and then put a drop in the front. That should just sort of lock it all together, ready for what I'm going to do next, which is add some into there. And I'm just saying, guys, as well, this isn't necessarily going to be a build I'm going to complete. This is basically a kind of why I change build sequences and my reasoning behind it, and it's just basically trying to give you guys an insight into what I'm doing and why I do it. Oops. And yeah, basically answer questions that have been asked. Is why do I do this? Just one more note, guys, while this is going off, I noticed I had a bit of a step here. It was like going up here, so basically here and then up. So I've put, I glued a couple of pieces of 10 thou plastic card, which is 0.25 millimeters, underneath there, and now that step is gone. So basically the center wing section is actually thinner than the outer wing section. So I don't know if the corresponding parts that go underneath are thinner and thicker to compensate, or if we're going to get all steps and everything underneath as well, but we can cross that bridge when we come to it. I'm also just been looking through the instructions. If anybody's built this kit, maybe they can let me know. One thing I will say, I haven't looked at anybody else's build. I've even been sent a link. Ted kindly sent me a link to a build of this. I purposely haven't looked at it because I don't want to see anybody else's build. I don't want anybody else to, I don't know, change my thought, my train of thought on this. And also, I don't want anybody to think I've just copied somebody else, because if somebody's already done this and it's in a magazine somewhere, then, you know, that's plagiarism. I haven't done that. I'm not looking at anybody else's build. But I'm looking here and I'm wondering, with these booms, if I can get away with assembling these booms as they are here, so these two halves, and then put this top piece on, and then slide this undercarriage and engine assembly in afterwards, it kind of looks like it is possible. I'll have to mock it up with some tape together parts, but that would be great if I can, because if I'm going to build this properly and do a nice job of it, I want to use the Eduard photo etch set, and right here right now I can't afford to buy the Eduard photo etch set, so I don't want to go putting all these gear bays in and then, you know, not be able to add the photo etch detail after. So I'm hoping that I can actually build these booms up and then slide that in. It looks like these little legs on the back of the boom here go into these little cutouts on the side, and if the undercarriage leg isn't in there, and I see no reason why it needs to be, then basically I think we could just slide that in afterwards. So I'll have to have a look at that, guys, see if we can get the undercarriage in afterwards, and B, if the whole thing can go in afterwards, and also then we can do all the sanding and filling and fitting it all to the fuselage without having these little engines in the way. So check back for more. As I say, I'm leaving this to dry now. I've actually got to go and go to my mum's house and plane a door for her. She's had new carpets, and the carpets are so thick she can't shut the doors. So I'll see you all later, guys. Bye. Right then, guys, here we are. I've been to Bristol and back, and planed a couple of doors and fitted some doors and stuff, and here I am. Just had my first McDonald's I've had for many months. Paper straws, great for the environment, but oh, like on my lips, I can't stand it. I don't know if anybody else is the same, but yeah, awful. Anyway, this will have gone off now. It's been here for, I don't know, roughly 3 hours, so it will have gone and set off nice and hard by now. So we keep these bits of tape for reuse, because I'm tight like that. I'm not tight, I just don't like wasting things. And I have just gone on eBay and I found the exterior photo etch set for this on Creative Models for like £13.50. There is one company called Bison doing it for like £12.59, but they didn't have a very high satisfaction rating, so yeah, didn't bother with that. So there we go, guys. There is our wing glued together and straight and everything. So what I need to do now is mount this back up like this and do the other side. So I'm just going to do exactly the same again. Now, I don't think I need to add any more strength to this. I don't want to go adding any more glue in there, because if I do, what will happen is I'll soften that joint. So I think what I'm going to do is do this other side, and then I can lay the wing down on its back here. We'll remove some of this rib and put some plastic strip across, and then we'll put a spar right through. And then also what we have got to do, remember, we've got to find out if these lower wing sections require this strip or not. So that'll be interesting to see. So there we go. It's just going to be the same thing over again, the other way around. And there we are. That's that side all glued up. Wait for that to set now. Sharper-eyed amongst you will notice I put this piece in here on the midsection. I also put a piece on this side. Didn't need it. I've actually had to put a piece under the outer section on this side because the step was the other way around. So that's all pretty much stepless now. There is, I mean, it's going to require some filling, blending, whatever, but I've got these panel lines lined up, so I'm happy that I can just scribe those through. Any rivets I need to replace, just make with a pin, and it'll all be good from there. And it looks like basically one lucky thing, if there isn't a join there, the actual rivet lines are the rivet spacing means I don't have to put a rivet right in the middle of the glue joint, because that's always an issue when you put a rivet in a glue joint. It's always very very large because it's softer, unless of course you leave it for 27 years to go hard. So there we go, that's it. That is our upper wing in a flash put together. So what I need to do now is, as I say, wait for that to dry off, and then we'll turn it over and do some work on the inside. Okay, so I've got the lower wing sections off now, and they're all ready to go. I've decided I am going to fit the outer pylons. It looks like none of the colour callouts show these actual outer pylons in place, but you do get them in the kit. Here they are here, H24 and H23. And also when it comes to the arms loadout, it tells you that on the outer pylons you can either have AIM missiles, which you get. You can have a 130 litre fuel tank, which you get, or you can have the 2.75 inch rockets, which you get. So I'm going to basically load this thing up, you know, like crazy, loaded right out with all its weapons, if I ever build it. So I decided I needed to drill the holes in the wings. Now it's a bit strange. I measured the pins on those pylons and they're 0.9 millimeters diameter. So I've drilled these holes through with a 0.9 millimeter drill, which is about what size these holes were. But on this wing, you can see the actual holes they moulded in are massive. So you've got to sort of drill down through the centre of them and make sure you don't drill them the size of the holes that are there, because they're huge. So don't know why they did that. Again, you've got all these cleanups on the back here on the trailing edges, and make sure you keep them square, keep them straight, and don't thin them out too much. I can see there that I've got a little bit of a nib left there. Just take that off. So yeah, that makes it all look good. Makes it all look clean, nice and straight. This has been sat here now for, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours, so it's probably okay to take it off. In the meantime, while that's been going off, I've had a quick look with these booms and I've taped one together. They do go together quite nicely. It looks like we've got a seam line there right up the middle, because there's a line of rivets either side. So yeah, we're going to have to do some really careful jiggery pokery with this, glue this together. Luckily we can glue it from the inside, and then just scribe a line in there. What I might even do is put a piece of plastic card in there and glue it together like that, to leave that as a dry joint, so that we've got that visible seam line there. We'll see where we go with that one. If you remember a while ago I mentioned about assembling the gear bays and actually fitting them in after. It's not possible. The whole point of doing it is so that we could do it after it's been assembled to the wing, and once it's assembled to the wing you won't be able to spread these areas apart at all, so it won't go in. But when it does go in, I must admit it is a very nice fit. Look at that. Look at how that fits in that bay. That is really, really nice. Really chuffed with that. That's one of the nicest fitting wheel bays I think I've ever seen. It really is lovely. There's a sort of step in there that it goes into. You've got the step on here, and it's just the fit is, I mean, look at it, it's gorgeous. Really, really impressed with that. As I say, I've never built a Kitty Hawk kit before, and I must admit I'm really liking this. Yes, there's ejector pin marks, but we get that on a lot of stuff these days. But that fit in there is gorgeous. And I said in my original, I really should redo it, I said in my original summary of this kit that I thought the plastic looked cheap. It does, but it's lovely to work with. It's really, really nice to work with. It's lovely. It's not too hard, it's not too soft. Yeah, really enjoying it, and the surface detail is incredible. Really, really nice. Very impressed with this so far. So another thing we need to look at is this panel in here. If we look in the instructions, it tells us here, this is this side here, it's like that. So it's telling us to put F40 in there. And when we actually look on the sprue, what you can see here is it says 39 and 40. Let's put it the right way up for you. You can see here it says, if I can get it in the light, 39 and 40 across those two parts. So you've got to guess which one is which. Did some research and I found that these with the chaff dispensers are actually D. They added those to the D model. So the A, C or Vietnam era aircraft wouldn't have had them. But also when you come to the Eduard exterior set, they actually have you put their panels on with the chaff dispensers in them. So you don't want to be using them. Be careful. They are just literally a panel. It's just they're going to go in, and then you're going to get rid of all the seam and everything. What I found when I put this in was it sat a bit shallow. It's got a little flange around it, and there's a recess inside that it sits in, and it sits down in, but I want to get it as near as down it flush as I can, so I can get some Mr. Surface in there, sand it flat, and you'll never know it was there. So what I did was got a number 10 blade, or was that a 10A? It's a number 10, isn't it? Yes. And just literally went around this flange and just scraped away material to thin it out all the way around. And basically, well, I've done it now, so I'm not going to take too much more off. But basically, what that does, there's a recess inside there. You can see in there that it goes into. So basically, when that goes in, you want that to sit in there, nice and flush. Get it in, glued up nice and solid, and then we can do some work about, you know, filling these seams. There's a panel line there and a panel line there. So basically, all we're going to do is put something in there and then just scribe that panel line back in. It's a shame they've done it as a separate part like that. It's a shame they didn't do the sort of chaff dispenser part as a stick-on for the D and sort of leave this as a flat panel for the A. But I guess they got their costs and everything, and, you know, ease of building for people. So that's just a little job you're going to have to do there. So that'll be fun. And also these parts here, these are the exhaust outlet areas. They just clip in there. Again, amazingly beautiful fit. I mean, that's almost as good as the fit of a tail on a Tamiya Spitfire. It's really, really nice. You know, get in there, use your glue very, very sparingly. It needs to go back a bit by the look of it. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to take some material off there so that it can go back a bit further. And that should look, yeah, that's better. So that goes in like that, and that's a really, really nice fit. I'm not going to fit this until I've actually fitted this to the wing, because if I glue this like that now, and then that wants to go up like that, I need to decide what I'm going to do. I mean, I don't know, maybe I should do it now and then work with the wing, because if I do that, I'm going to have that panel with the riveting to deal with along this top edge here. So, but yeah, overall, really impressed. And like I said, I want to build their Kitty Hawk's new UH-60, the Black Hawk Down helicopter. I saw a review from Phil Flory of it, and it's made me want it. Doing this has made me want it even more. You know, absolutely in love with this thing. This is really, really nice. So this wing, let's have a look. Let's get it off and see what it looks like. I think we can throw this masking tape away now. It's pretty much had its day. There we are. I have actually measured the thickness through here of the underwing sections, and it looks like they're kind of, as an engineer would call it, all over the place. There's about 0.2 millimeters difference in the thickness of them by the look of it, so we need to be careful what we're doing. So now that wing can go down on there. I'm going to leave this, I'm not going to play with it now, I'm going to leave this to go off a bit more, and I'm going to basically glue something inside there. But what I am going to do is call this a day for this video and basically leave it there, because I want to leave this to go off overnight before I start messing with it. Because what I'm going to have to do, because we've got this flange in here that you can hopefully see. Yeah, that's where the join was. And what I'm going to do there is actually cut some of that away, just sand it away or scrape it away. Put a couple of pieces of plastic card in there just to give it a bit of rigidity, and then we're going to put something straight down the middle, like a piece of plastic rod like this or something. That's probably a bit short. I've got some round stuff here, perhaps, you know, something like that down the middle, or even a piece of brass tubing, and that will just give it a proper amount of rigidity and keep it all nice and straight. What will be interesting to see is how this fits. So that goes together like that. You see, now that's interesting. I'm guessing putting this piece in here will set the width, but we need to make sure we get that width set correct for that, because that needs to be a perfect fit back there. And the front will just butts up like that. So it's basically, it's the when the underwing sections go on, that's what's going to position all of this, I guess. So yeah, that's the idea now, is to get the underwing sections on here and then get these booms on in place like so, and get them square and vertical, let all that go off, then put the tailplane in, let all that go off, and then we know we've got everything square, we've got the tailplane level with the wing, we've got the wing nice and straight in all planes and not twisted, we've got these all straight and not twisted and not, you know, not running like this or like this. So if you are going to build this kit, maybe hang fire for now, see how I get on, and then if all this works out, you can copy me, disregard the instruction manual for the build sequence, and see how you get on. So thanks for watching this video. If you've liked this, please hit the subscribe and give me a like. I've got a Patreon channel if you want to support the channel, or a Patreon account should I say. Go there and you can offer me some support, whatever, if you want to. I'm looking for getting new equipment, or a new camera at least. And basically we'll just thanks for watching, and thanks for all your comments. I know there's going to be a lot of feedback on this. I cannot believe, as I said at the beginning of this video, I cannot believe how much interest this kit has stirred up. You know, out of all my reviews, it's probably got more watches this than the Lancaster did when I reviewed that kit. So yeah, quite shocked. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon with some more of this. I've got the build along going on the Junkers 88, the build along going on the Typhoon, which is a lovely kit, and I've also got that build going on the Schwerer Wehrmacht Schlepper, the German half-track thing, and I must get back to my shuttle and finish that off as well with the 747. But this is nice to do all stuff like this. This here is my favourite type of modelling, when you actually apply some engineering logic and basically achieve a quality product at the end out of something that everybody says is a bit of a pig to put together, including me. I reviewed this kit yesterday. I said it looked like a bit of a pig. I take my words back. My only worry is what I'm going to do with those clear parts. But having seen a couple of real aircraft now, when I've been looking for references, it looks like they might look quite accurate. So anyway, I'm waffling. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.